responding to the claim that the NFL draft does not help teams increase themselves. The speaker's secondary claims were that the draft forces teams to offer big contracts to early draftees, and his secondary claim was that first-round picks are not guaranteed to succeed in the NFL. I was still unclear on how the draft works, so for those of you that don't know, I went to How Stuff Works and AnswerBags.com to find out in two different articles to get a better picture. And basically, all the college football players that are ready to move on to the NFL can be put in a pool, kind of, and the ones that are most likely to succeed get the best agents, and their first-round picks, they're projected to be the first-round picks, and the NFL teams get their records from the preceding year, and the team that did the worst gets to pick first, and it goes like that until the team that wins the Super Bowl gets to pick last, and they do, each team gets to pick about 7 times, so there's 7 rounds to it. My response is that the NFL draft can be manipulated to help teams. The speaker's first claim, the one that says draft forces teams to offer big contracts to early draftees, I found a problem with his evidence. He used a chart where he told us about the value of the pick, saying that like the first round, the very first pick is worth like 3,000 points, and then the list went down until the 224th pick, which was worth 2 points. This is just like a value system, and he made it seem like a dollar amount in trying to relate it to the salaries. But it's just like, if you get to pick first, that's way more valuable than the last pick, and it didn't really have anything to do with the dollar amount. Also, he used a quote that said, it was from a top pick player, saying that teams just have to pay us. If they don't feel like it, they can pass us up. Basically, that doesn't support his claim that the draft forces teams to offer big contracts, because if they can't afford the biggest player, they don't have to. They're not being forced to. In fact, the individual agents of the draftees and the purchasing team negotiate to come up with the contract. The NFL doesn't set a dollar amount, and the teams can freely choose to select less likely candidates who will undoubtedly be cheaper. His secondary claim was that first-round picks are not guaranteed to succeed in the NFL. His evidence was of stuff that has already happened, which seems logical, but the NFL draft has always seemed to go the same way in the past, as in the first teams that get to pick the best players, which makes sense, but this isn't the only way that the NFL draft can be gone about. If a team is picking first, and that means they're obviously a not very good team, they are free to maybe strategize in a different way, and maybe get second, third, fourth string players that will collectively make up a good team, so they don't just have one outstanding player and no one to back them up. Obviously, he had no evidence to show this, because the NFL has never really considered it. The NFL, in their drafting process, the teams always choose to play the defense by taking strong players away from strong teams. But if they chose to play offense and work on building their own teams, the NFL draft can help. Thank you.